Williams County Board of County Commissioners meeting for September 5th to order. Beth, would you roll call, please?
Barry?
Here.
Steve? Absent. Bo?
Here.
David?
Here. We have a quorum. We will proceed. If everyone would please stand up for the pledge. Before we get into the consent agenda, we have one item, the cafe steamer replacement. We're going to take that off the consent agenda and move that down, and Keith's going to talk about it during the reports of department heads. So with that change being made, what are the wishes for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman, as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we've added a new section, public comment section on our agenda, and now is the time if there's any public here that wishes, that's not on the agenda somewhere else, that wishes to comment, now is the time to do it. If you do wish to make a comment, please come up and let us know, state your name, and then you can address the board. And I do know we have one.
Commissioner, thank you for allowing me to address you today. My name is Mary Stepler, and I'm a resident of Williston in Commissioner Hanson's district. Thank you for allowing me to address you today regarding the library board appointment that you have to make. My apologies for the awkwardness of meeting, but I want to make sure that I share with you what I intend, as this is an important topic in my estimation. My primary reason for requesting to address you today is to urge you to utilize your power to appoint an individual to the library board who will bring more common sense and accountability to our local library. I understand that historically these sorts of appointments have been made based on the recommendation of the existing board, and perhaps that is the procedural norm here. However, when there are substantive issues that need to be addressed, procedural norms need to be examined and perhaps modified. I'd like to share some information with you today to help you all see that there are substantive issues with our local library that need to be addressed. And before I get into some specific observations, I'd like to mention that these issues first came on my radar when friends of mine with young children were being exposed to inappropriate content at our local library, whether through books that introduced young children to radical gender ideology, or through a display of sexually explicit books placed at our level of children on the way to the children's section. After this, I started paying closer attention and have observed our library director consistently and repeatedly using her position to push ideas harmful to our youth and community through book selection, library displays, posts on social media, and various library activities. I also am concerned that at least some of the current library leadership may solicit applicants who will continue to approve of such actions, but I want to emphasize that that is hypothetical. About a year ago, I spoke with the library director, Andrea Placker, about my observations and concerns of using her tax-benefited position at the library to push her personal far-left agenda. And since then, I would say I have not seen changes for the better, but her actions seem to be more obvious and blatant. So addressing you is the next step in seeking to see these grievances addressed. In order to share some specific observations that have concerned me about our local library, I put together a packet which clearly demonstrates that our library is currently being used to push a far-left agenda through book selection, book displays, and library activities. I have a copy for each of you that I would like to encourage you to review in more depth at your own time, but which I would like to touch upon a couple items momentarily if that's acceptable.
Do you have an extra one?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's just an extra.
Thank you.
So I won't go through all of these. The first page just includes what the packet includes. But if you would be willing to look at the third item in the packet with me, I just did a card catalog search of the subject, transgender. And this produced 35 results of books that are in our local library's book collection. Of these 35 items, and I will say that this was on July 18th, the last time I thought I was going to speak to you guys. So I did check again last night. There have been a couple additional, I think there are 37 results with this search. Again, the subject search of transgender. Of these 35 in July, 25 of these books appeal to youth on the topic of transgender. That's 71%. And for your convenience, I labeled the ones that appeal to youth. If you're able to look at number 15 on this portion, the book is I Know Jaws. It's geared toward early childhood age children. And just the description here that is available for the public says, from the time she was 2 years old, Jazz knew that she had a girl's brain in a boy's body. She loved pink and dressing up as a mermaid and didn't feel like herself in boys' clothing. This confused her family until they took her to a doctor who said that Jazz was transgender and that she was born that way. So we see in this book that the attempts, of course, in much literature is to get children to identify with the characters in the book. So here we see a character in the book at 2 years old who is starting to feel these certain things, and it's very concerning. I don't have children of my own, but I can imagine the surprise that I would have if my child checked out such a book and I discovered that these were the ideas being sown into a child's mind at an early age. So I would also want to draw your attention to the final page in the packet, which is a copy of a bill that came out of our last legislative session, which does pertain to public libraries. And I share this with you because I think at a state level, our legislators have begun to see that this is a pervasive problem in many libraries. And so this bill sets forth a requirement for libraries to remove sexually explicit material from their library and to develop a plan for going through all of the books to ensure that the book collection is age appropriate. And that plan is due, as I understand, based on the reading of this bill, it's due on January 1st of 2024, and then the compliance report is due in May, and the governor has signed that bill. So I share that with you because I think there is some political will on the state level to back more conservative ideas and to help right the wrongs that are in local libraries. So again, I encourage you to peruse that on your own time, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Other comments. We have seen in other communities that some libraries are sexualizing their children through drag queen story hour, and I think many indicators are there that some people in leadership of our local library would like to do the same if given the latitude. All of this to say, I want to encourage you as a county commission to take a more proactive role in appointing people to our library board for this and future appointments. Please consider using the power you have to ensure that our local library has the necessary guidance, oversight, and accountability to help get our library back on track. You as a county commission have doled out a lot of money to help address the mental health issues in your community, and being more selective in your library board appointments could be a simple yet effective preventative measure to help ensure that you are not inadvertently being complicit with sowing seeds in your youth and community that create confusion and contribute to the mental health dilemma. Some might say that our libraries aren't utilized that much to have such an extreme impact one way or the other. However, that misses the point that you and those overseeing and running the library help establish norms in your community. I would also suggest that perhaps our local library would be better utilized if parents could trust that the library will not be a place where the children are exposed to ideas that will harm them. Let's stem the tide of the harmful direction of our local library is headed. Please be proactive and selective in this and all future library board appointments. I believe there are several applicants for the current opening, and my concern is that if you simply take the current library board's recommendation without doing your part to ensure that they are a quality candidate who will help our library move in a better direction, we will likely see our library continue to be used to push a far-left political ideology and sow seeds in the youth that will inhibit their flourishing. If I were in your shoes, I would also find the means to vet other current sitting library county board appointees, since this appears to be a large problem in the library. I recently heard that the Richland County Commission in Montana notified an individual that they were relieved of their duties of a certain county board since it had become apparent that the individual was not representing the county commission's views. No explanation was necessary or provided. Please do not hesitate to use your power in a similar way if you find that some of the current library board appointees by the county do not reflect your views. And of course, check with attorneys on that, but I did hear that the Richland County Commission did that. I'll leave you with a quote by Matt Schlapp, who said, "Tolerance is not a virtue when it turns into the destruction of something good. Some individuals may seek to label me negatively for the views I have expressed here today. However, I believe we have for far too long gone along with the destruction of good things in the name of tolerance, and that we have not clearly delineated between liberty and licentiousness." That is all I have to say, and thank you again for your time and consideration of what I've shared. And if you have questions or comments for me, I'm open to that as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments from the public today?
Hi, Commission. My name is Christy Gutierrez. I am the Vice President of the Williams County, or the City of Williston's Library Board. So I would like to address some of the concerns I have just heard. I've been on the board for almost 4 years. I've sat for roughly 40 library board meetings. This is my first time actually ever laying eyes on Ms. Stepler. She has never come to one of our meetings to address any of her concerns to us. We have a process at the library that would actually allow any parent, any individual to protest any of our books. Not only has Ms. Stepler not appealed to any of us for anything on these books to be removed or otherwise moved, no parent has. We actually have had requests for these books as opposed, and so although I can understand, I am a parent, there are some books in our library that I do not want my children to read, therefore I don't allow them to read them. As a parent, I feel like that is my job, not the job of the librarians. We do have several policies, and our policies do support inclusion of all marginalized peoples, not just people that would identify as transgender. I have to tell you, I'm Catholic. I do consider myself to be a conservative. I also do consider myself to be a champion of people who do feel themselves to be marginalized. We want to be inclusive to everybody. That is the reason that we have our policies written in the way that we do. There are several processes if you're concerned about any of our issues. In the time that I've sat on the library board, we have had one protest about a display. No books. So if there are concerns about the library, the books, the things that are being there, they are not being presented to the library leadership. When we talk about mental health, I think a lot of the mental health issues that we have in not only our but other communities are from people feeling marginalized. Inclusion, if you talk to any mental health professional, they will tell you inclusion goes a long ways towards having positive mental health and positive self-image. As far as drag queens reading to children, that's a really big stretch in our library. I wish that I had known that this issue was going to come to you. I could have shown you. We have statistics that will show you how many parents do bring their children. Something that our library counts, one, people coming through that door, it's significant. We have the highest levels we've ever seen. People coming to children's storytime hour, highest levels we have ever seen. So although I can understand that there may be some people in our community that are concerned about the way things are being done, I would not consider it to be large, because what we actually see, the statistics we see, are not people protesting our books. We are seeing people bringing their children into our library. And if a parent has a concern about a book there that they don't want their children to read, we are not forcing anybody to read those. You are appointing somebody today. We have submitted a few people. We have perfectly happy to answer any of the questions that you may have about that or the way the library is run. I'm sure if Andrea were here, she'd have better data than I do, because I don't have those numbers on the top of my head.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment for the day? Okay, I don't see anybody jumping up. Let's get into new business. Looks like we've got the end on Dry Fork proposal.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jonathan Rosencrantz from the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network out of NDSU. I'm here today to request permission to upgrade the existing weather station from a temporary installation to a full permanent weather station in the southeast corner of Section 16 in Dry Fork Township. This upgrade would be funded with federal funds from a soil monitoring project from the U.S. Army Corps that NDON has been working with for the past few years. And this upgrade is looking to take place in 2025, in the 2025 year. We're working on getting these lined up this fall. I hope you've all had a chance to read the documents that I sent along earlier, and looking forward to any questions or comments you have.
Is this county property?
This is within easement of County Road 23. We have talked with Legislative Council in Bismarck on the state land in Section 16, and their recommendation was, since this is parceled out separately in the county easement, as shown on this map, the blue parcel being the county road easement, that they recommended to get permission through the county commissioners, and that's what we would need to upgrade this station. I've worked with Dennis Nelson, and he's familiar with the project and in favor of the upgrade.
I was just going to say, Dennis, are you okay with this?
He's gonna just move it back.
Okay, well, as long as you've worked there. I happen to use these weather stations all the time. I think they're real beneficial. So I don't have any questions and any problem with it, but what are the thoughts?
I need a motion to approve it?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the upgrade to the Dry Fork proposed weather station from NDON.
No, second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Bo, Barry. You got a B?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Okay, we're into planning and zoning.
Good morning, Michelle Haugen with County Planning. The first item today is LU-32-23, which is Ed Wintemaki on behalf of Andrew Esterby. They're requesting a zone change to the rural residential zoning district for an approximately 5.03 acre parcel. This zone change is in conjunction with a 2-lot minor subdivision. The minor subdivision has gone through all the necessary review steps and has been approved for minor contingent on the zone change. The larger 155-acre lot will remain in the agricultural zoning district. Purpose of this subdivision is to encompass the existing home on the property so it can be sold to the current renters who reside there. Both of the newly created lots are accessed off of 57th Street Northwest. Subject property is located in the southwest quarter of Section 15 in Mont Township. The Township Board was undecided on their recommendation, while the Planning and Zoning Board did hear this item on August 17th and did recommend approval.
Is the applicant present? I don't know.
Not, no.
Okay. Okay, any questions or?
I would make a motion to approve following staff comments.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Roll call.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes, motion carried.
Okay, the next item is LU-0034-23, being Jason Ekblad on behalf of Selland Construction. They're requesting a conditional use permit to open and operate a gravel pit within the agricultural zoning district. The subject property is approximately 160 acres and has had mining of sand and gravel products in the past, however is currently not in use. As per our county ordinance, mineral extraction, which includes sand and gravel operations, do require a CUP within the zoning district. The nearest residence from this site is approximately 3/4 of a mile to the northeast, which is the current owner of the land that's on there as well. Access to the property is off of 129th Avenue Northwest, and it does have 2 existing approaches into the subject property. The property is in the south half of the northeast and the north half of the southeast of Section 33 in Dublin Township. We did not receive any comment from the township or anyone from the public on this matter. The Williams County Water Resource Board did not believe the activities of a sand and gravel pit in this area would cause an increase in runoff. However, the applicant or operator should be aware and make sure they do not adversely affect the East Fork Little Muddy River. Planning and Zoning Board did recommend approval on this one as well.
Okay, anyone from the applicants present? I don't see Jason. No? Any questions, or what are the wishes?
Make a motion to approve following staff comments.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded, any discussion? Roll call, please.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes,
Bo,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, the third item today is LU-0036-23, which is Ryan Waller, who is requesting a conditional use permit for a second dwelling on his property. Subject property is approximately 15.22 acres and is within the rural residential zoning district. The Williams County zoning ordinance only allows for one single-family dwelling on properties within this zoning district. The current home on the property is a small, older hunting cabin. It has been periodically used for friends to stay out on the property, however, is currently being used to store water tanks as they haul water out to the property for them to utilize. The additional dwelling will be their primary residence on the subject property. The applicant is currently working through the permitting process with the building division contingent on this approval. If approved, the current home on the property will be continued to be used as storage and possible office space. Property is MS 16-0058, located in Section 25 of Big Meadow Township, and is accessed off of 109th Avenue Northwest. Township and Planning and Zoning Board all recommended approval.
Okay, is the applicant present? Nope. What are the wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the final item for this morning is LU-0037-23, which is Landon Askew on behalf of Highline Water LLC. They are requesting a conditional use permit to open and operate a sand and gravel pit within the agricultural zoning district. Subject property is approximately 120 acres and has had mining of sand and gravel products in the past. However, much like the other one, is not currently in use. Like the other item on our per our ordinance, mineral extraction, which includes the sand and gravel operations, do require a CUP within the zoning district. The nearest residence from this site is approximately half a mile directly to the south. There's also an urban residential subdivision about a half a mile to the southeast, with the closest home in that subdivision being just shy of 3/4 of a mile away. Access to the property is off of 58th Street Northwest with an existing access easement agreement with Bakken Group Incorporated. The applicant will work on building up the access road into the property if the CUP is approved. The property is in the north half of the northwest and the southwest of the northwest, a Section 17 in Farron Township. We did not receive any comment from the township. However, we did receive concerns from the public, which are included in your packet. These concerns mainly deal with dust issues, erosion, and noise pollution. Like the other application, the Williams County Water Resource Board did not believe the activities of the sand and gravel pit would cause an increase in runoff. However, the applicant and or operator should be aware and make sure they do not adversely affect the Little Muddy River. This item was heard on August 17th as well and did get a recommendation for approval.
Okay, any questions? Is the applicant present?
He is, yes.
Do you have anything to add, or did she cover it for you?
Hey, good morning. Landon Esky representing Highline Water of Williston. The only thing that was additional at the end of the last one was dust control. Being that Highline Water is the applicant for this, it's a frac water sourcing company, so there's plenty of industrial water available already, even before the project starts for dust control in that case.
Okay, anybody have any questions? What are the wishes?
Make a motion to approve following staff comments.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
We didn't get the correct paperwork with it. Joe Trumpauer, Farron Township. We got, the picture is misleading, and we were wondering about the access road, and we were wondering if you could table this till the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks for you, because our meeting is tonight. And this has not been discussed at the township level.
It did not get to the township?
Did not, we got the wrong paperwork. Our picture was wrong, we just received the right one last week.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask Karen, with it, we already have a motion and a second, everything up here. Can we make a step to table it for 2 weeks, or what do we have to do?
You haven't voted on the
We have not
we
voted.
haven't voted on the motion, so I would recommend we just withdraw the motion or vote against it, I guess, really, and then it would just leave things as they were, so. It'd be better to just withdraw the motion.
So what paperwork did they send you, Joe?
It was the other one up north. We didn't get it.
The other picture was added by mistake, and I did not know until last week that it had.
So it was the salad property that got
Yes.
sent?
So I had sent it originally back in July and did not know until I followed up last week for comment that it was
So
incorrect.
you really didn't care about that one?
No, that one doesn't bother us a bit.
Well, I think
And we want to know, I mean, I know it says 58th Street, but we want to know where.
Well,
It's coming off of 58th.
we had a fairly good discussion at planning and zoning, and they were gonna use, there's a business there, Jet, because they have an access easement recorded in here to
Okay,
go
that
through
would
their
be
yard.
from the west then.
Yeah, and that's what we were under the impression, that all the traffic is gonna be coming in from the west, and when they leave, they'll be headed west also.
Okay, well, then they're gonna be crossing the river, or are they gonna build a?
No, I think they're gonna be if you can zoom in, that little triangle piece there right off the corner of that purple,
Yeah.
that is where they're going to be mining, and they're gonna come in from the west, and when they leave, they'll be going west, is what we were told.
Okay, well, we didn't, like I say, we didn't receive that. That's why I'm here asking the question, because I had residents ask, so that's why I'm here.
This is one of the ones that they gave us. So, this is that.
Yeah, see, I know exactly that.
Yep, so they'll stay on.
They'll be all on the west side.
According to that, that's what we were told. You can have it.
Thank you.
Are you all right with that? Joe, does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, but our meeting's tonight, so I want to bring this to our board, if possible.
Who made the motion? Okay, I guess it's number one to you, if you want us to, if you can do one of two things, we can withdraw it, or we can move forward and vote on it. I mean, it's,
Well, I mean, I would withdraw my motion just because that I believe that township should have been involved with it from the beginning. I guess I thought you had been, so.
And I apologize, but like I say, they were asking me and I couldn't figure out where it was. And then Val looked into it and got in contact with her, and that's where we figured out wires got crossed. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I want the board involved. That's.
yeah, I don't see, I totally see where you're coming from, so if you, David, will you withdraw the second?
I will, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we will, its motion's withdrawn along with the second. We'll table this until, sorry?
Can we discuss approving it contingent on the board, the township board approval?
Sure, I don't have any issue with that.
And if they don't approve it, we can just have the discussion in 2 weeks with everybody?
I'm fine with that. Do you want to make that a motion?
I will make that a motion.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, so we will approve it contingent upon the township approval. And if not, it'll go to that meeting in 2 weeks. So any discussion on that? Karen, you got it. I see you shaking your head. Don't give us too much information, though.
I guess, one, I would recommend against making a motion condition on their approval, because if they don't approve it, then it's gonna have to come back to you anyways, and if they have comments that they want you to make, you're gonna have to consider those comments. But if you do go ahead and make this motion, you're still gonna need the motion, the second, discussion, and then voting on the motion.
Yeah? That was the motion you just made,
Okay, oh, okay.
right? Yeah,
Well, it was a little.
so we're good.
Okay.
To help you clarify it, I'll clarify it for you, Karen. The motion was to approve it contingent on the township board approving it. If the township board does not approve it tonight, then it comes back to us in 2 weeks for discussion for both parties to do it.
Okay, all right.
You're good with that? Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call, Beth.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for planning and zoning. Lindsay.
Good morning. All right, today I come to you with a behavioral health request. So over the past few years, the commission has invested several $million in what has been able to help grow prevention awareness and outpatient services in Williams County. In the 2023 behavioral health budget, we had specifically allocated $200,000 to invest long-term in something that would hopefully bring inpatient services back to our community, which have been missing for over a decade. Through the legislative session this year, we were fortunate enough to be able to secure funds for our area here in Western North Dakota to bring inpatient in, and that is something that CHI St. Alexius Health in Williston is pursuing. And so, in working with their new CEO, Garrick Hyde, who is here today, and he will introduce himself and speak with you a little bit, as they pursue this project, there's always a waiting period. Construction costs have increased, and a lot of this actually hinges on the study that the city and the county and CHI did back in 2017 to determine the feasibility of bringing inpatient back with the old mental health wing. So the request today that's in front of you is to use that $200,000 that was allocated for a longer-term investment in inpatient towards the design and helping move the timeline forward with that project. So with that, I'll ask Mr. Hyde to come up to introduce himself and give you a little bit of background on that project.
Good morning, gentlemen. The project that Lindsay just mentioned is a project that I'm very excited about. In the recent legislative session that ended in the end of April, early May, the state appropriated $2 million for inpatient behavioral health in this area of northwestern North Dakota. And because we're the only hospital in town, we then applied for that money to be used in the hospital. We have an existing inpatient wing. It has not been used since May of 2010. So we had inpatient behavioral health for a lot of years, then it was disbanded 13 years ago. And the goal is to spend $2 million of the state appropriated money, in addition to another at least $1.7 million of our own foundation's money for a $3.7 million renovation of this 10-bed inpatient psychiatric unit. As Lindsay mentioned, the planning of this has gone on for several years. The dollars that we used to estimate the cost were from early 2022. Inflation is not in our favor right now. The costs are probably going to be much higher than the initial estimates. But we are committed to renovating this unit and opening it again for the good of this area. There are no inpatient behavioral health beds in all of western North Dakota. The closest beds are in Bismarck and Minot. There's nothing in this part of the state. So this service would bring both psychiatric care at the inpatient level and substance abuse care at the inpatient level. We would also have outpatient services within the hospital. So we have done financial study, and we project that opening this service, and operationally, we will lose a lot of money doing this. And the reason that we want to do it is because it's the right thing to do. If it's within the mission of our hospital, we'll probably lose $500,000 a year just on operations. But we do that because that's what the services that are needed. So any help that the county can provide to us in this process now of moving forward with the design phase and the actual construction phase of this $3.7 million renovation is greatly appreciated.
Any questions, comments?
Okay. I have a comment, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Personally, I think it's very important. Do everything that we can best that we can. Whether it be CHI in Williston or the Tioga Medical Center in Tioga. These facilities have been here for many years and have provided us a service, and I applaud you guys for bringing forth inpatient behavioral health. That's huge. And I guess with that, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with the rest of you, I'll make a motion that we approve this funding request from CHI.
I will second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, Beth.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have Keith. I remembered Keith. I moved it and I remembered it that long. That's like 40 minutes ago you told me about it.
Morning, Commission. Just have one thing. The steamer in the cafe has a hole in the steam generator. You can see a quote to replace it is almost half of what a new one is. The one that's there is existing one that's broke right now, is close to end of life, all rusted out on the bottom. So just need approval to get a new one. You can see the price there on the second sheet of the new one. It'll come out of the cafe equipment fund, which was to a budget amendment at the end. It was after talking to Christie.
What are the wishes? Mr. Chairman, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Item C, department heads. No, got them all. Come on down, Helen.
Good morning. You'll see on the position report, we don't have any positions to newly advertise for, so we'll flip to the back. Yeah, not too shabby. All right, County Park Board, of which you all have some active knowledge of. I believe the board reviewed the applicants and put forward to this group, Shanda Harstead, to be reappointed to the board. You want to take these one at a time?
Yeah, I believe we should. So we need a motion to reappoint Shanda to the County Park Board.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? The term is 9/19/23 to 9/18/26. Beth, I think you have that. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Motion carried.
County Planning and Zoning, you'll note that they are by district, and so they're the same districts that county commissioners are assigned to, so although I think there's a couple that are maybe at large, but in this particular case, the person in this seat needed to live in District 1, and we had only one applicant, and it was Sherelle to be reappointed to her seat.
I would make a motion to approve Sherelle Shillo for the District 1, 9/1/2023 to 8/31/2027.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Motion carried.
As you heard me say in early August, we had an unprecedented number of applicants for the library board position. I think the number is 12. And yeah. And so, as we have done a couple other times when we've had a big interest in a particular seat, I recommended that the library board consider having applicants write up some kind of a letter of interest and give them more of an opportunity to review not just the basic credentials of the person, but their reasons for applying for the spot. So I believe that the library board got all but maybe 2 or 3 responses back, and then at their last board meeting did review all of those letters of interest. They forwarded to you then the names of 3 people that you see on your sheet, Tara Blanton, Diane Schwager, and Janessa Storley as their preferred choices. And they listed there for you some of the reasons that they would select them. So I leave that to you to make a choice.
Okay, what are the wishes, gentlemen?
Is this also approving Christy Hansen in seat 2, so there's
No,
moving forward?
it's Christie's. Christie is the person coming on. Century Code only allows a person to serve 2 terms. It's a total, I think, of 6 years on the library board, and then they must come off the board. So Christie is off. You are choosing one of the 3.
So they just narrowed it down from 12 to these 3, correct? All right. So we have probably 2 options. You can either pick one of these 3 or ask to see all and go back and go through them all again. But historically, we've gone through when boards make a recommendation. That's kind of what we've done, so. It's up to you, gentlemen.
Does one of us know any of these 3?
Looking at them, I guess it appears to me that the middle one on the sheet looks like to me has the most experience in a library-type setting, which I think is important for the position. So having said that, I guess, Mr. Chairman, to move this forward, I'll make a motion to appoint Diane Lotschwager. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think Let Schwager.
Okay. To the open position on the Library Board of Trustees with the term from 6/10/2023 to 6/9/2026.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes, motion carried.
I would just let you know that the transition of the Upper Missouri River Regional Dispatch Center to be officially Williams County Dispatch Center did, for all practical purposes, occur on Friday. We, thanks to Karen and the legal team at the city, we were able to get through all of the documents that we needed to prepare. Commissioner Hansen did sign them on the 31st, I think in the end, we got it right. So he has all those signed. I will be at the city commission meeting on the 12th, where they will be executing the final signature on all those documents, and I'll be there to answer questions. Of course, the work of the human beings dispatching our first responders doesn't change because there's a name change or a difference in who's paying the bills, but it happened on Friday. We've had a number of meetings with staff there, and they've got a really dedicated crew that works really hard, not just to support sending out people when they get a phone call, but they do a lot of work in the background to support our law enforcement that are out in the field, and so we appreciate all that they do and are excited to be a part of that. We will have the director position posted soon. It does seem to me that our current director will delay his retirement into 2024, I hope. But we're going to work to get that position filled as quickly as we can. If we had a little overlap, as Commissioner Hanson keeps saying, if we had a little overlap, that wouldn't be the worst. Yep. Yep. So rolling along. Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, that's the end of our agenda. Thank everybody for coming. We are adjourned.